All right. Go ahead, Sarah. Why don't you kick us off and then I will do my thing.
Absolutely. Welcome everybody to our Challenger Zoom. You guys, I'm so excited that you're here. My name is Sarah Kroger. I'm one of the coaches on this team. And what we do every Sunday night is come together. Our team is blessed to have enough people who are diving into their journeys that we run a couple of challenge groups so that we can keep them nice and small and not get super overwhelmed with a lot of people. And so you will have an opportunity to hear from several different leaders over the course of the month as you go on throughout your journey. And some of them might be your coach in your group, and some of them might be a coach from a different group. And that's the beauty of being part of this team, is that we come together and offer you, so you don't have to hear the same person all the time. So if you're in my group, you don't have to just hear me all the time. You get to benefit from everybody. But we are gonna share a little bit of a product focus at the beginning of each of our calls, just to give you an idea of what some of us really can't live without in our journey. Everybody is in a different place with their goals and has different things that they need to help them on that. So there might be something that gets talked about that when you started, you didn't need in your journey, you weren't quite ready for, or wasn't applicable yet. But as you progress, you might have things that benefit you. So I use a litany of things now that I didn't use when I started, either because I didn't need them yet or because I didn't know they existed. And we want to make sure that as you become further in your journey, you're aware of the tools that are good for you where you are. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually a duo. And when I started in this phase of my journey, I was doing 2B Mindset, and I'm still doing 2B Mindset. But when you start 2B Mindset, workouts are extra credit. And so this wasn't a product that I really needed in my journey at that point. But once I shifted into, I had a good handle on my nutrition, I had a good handle on my mindset, and I started incorporating heavier workouts, either heavier cardio or especially weightlifting. I needed some things before and after my workout for endurance, for energy, and especially for recovery. And so I have two things that I absolutely love, are pre and post workout. So this is called Energize. It comes in 2 flavors. I'm a fruit punch girl for sure, but the other one is lemon. And then this is Recover, which actually comes in 3 options. There's a chocolate formula and an orange formula, and then there's now a chocolate plant-based formula that doesn't have any dairy in it. And so I got to tell you guys, when I did Transform 20, when I have been doing Morning Meltdown 100, when I did Lift 4, these were game changers. And my favorite ingredient in it is beta alanine, or alanine, depending on, I don't know how to say it. It fights lactic acid buildup in your muscles. And that is what makes you sore as your muscles recover. And so it doesn't mean that you're not ever sore, but I can function the next day. I remember doing Lift 4 when I was doing upper body workout, and I was doing bicep curls. But you don't just do bicep curls in Lift 4, you do like bicep curls in every different combination. Sometimes it feels like even standing on your head, you know? And I couldn't pass the water pitcher to my husband. I'm like, I think something's wrong. I think I really hurt my elbow. He's like, no, you just really did a hard workout. And so it doesn't mean you're never sore, but the beta alanine in these actually blocks the lactic acid buildup while you're working out, and then also when you're recovering. And frankly, this stuff, it feels like a treat. It feels like chocolate milk at the end of your workout. And sometimes I'm like, I'm doing a hard one today just so I can have it. But I just wanted to put that out there. If you are just getting started and you aren't working out yet, or if you are, like, in my opinion, you don't need it if you're doing like the 3-week yoga retreat or something like that. Although I will tell you, it's been known that people will drink their Energize before they like clean their house or something like that. But I wanted to put those out there. So if you have questions about that, just message your coach. Ask them if they feel like that's an appropriate thing for you, or how you can get it and all of that kind of stuff. They can give you all that information too. So I'm gonna hand it over to Kelly, and she is going to give you really the good stuff for the evening.
Thanks, Sarah. I should have drank Energize before our call, but then I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. But I will like work out to drink it. That's how much I love it. It's really good. My favorite is the lemon. And I'll tell you that it is very true about the Recover. It does taste like chocolate milk. I don't know if you were a Nestle Quick person back in the day, but I was. And I was not Team Ovaltine. I don't even know if people know what that is. But anyway, it was like, I was so happy when they came out with the plant-based, because I do the plant-based things too. And it's really good. Really, really good. So we just wanted to share those things each week, because there are lots of products that Beachbody offers that I didn't even know about, half of them. And I've been a coach for 6 years, and I had like stuff that I could take that my functional medicine doctor was like, oh, you have that, and so we just are just providing that information, because I hate for you to like not know about it. So thank you, Sarah. That's awesome for sharing. So tonight, you guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about being honest with yourself. We are in a new month. We're in November. We are headed into a shift in a lot of our groups for gratitude. We are also heading into the holidays, where a lot of people struggle emotionally. And I wanted to talk to you about how you can set yourself up to create a new experience this holiday, to set yourself up to stand on the truth of who you are. So Sarah talked about affirmations. Was it last week? I feel like last week felt like a mile long. Or was it 2 weeks ago? Last week was our sneak peek. So I think it was 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So she did a call on affirmations. So for those of you that are newer, it's something that's in the group, or you can ask for the recording copy of it. But she talked about the importance of telling ourselves the truth and speaking the truth. And here's what I have found in my journey. I love to write the affirmations. I even don't mind reading them anymore. Although years ago I would like completely roll my eyes at it. Now I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's like the warm fuzzy part of it, it's the hope-filled part. But you know what I don't like doing? I don't like collecting the data that can sometimes negate in my head the affirmation. And so I decided tonight what I want to talk to you about is you are not the total sum of what you do. You are already amazing. You are already worthy. You are already good enough. You are already equipped. And I think sometimes we join these challenge groups, and we're in these challenge groups, and we want this change so badly, but then we're afraid to like track what we're doing, because we're afraid that we have to see the hard things that we don't do well, and it's gonna like ruin us. Like I used to think that food journaling was so dumb, because if I wrote my food down, it meant I thought about my food all the time, and I was gonna obsess over my food, and I had disordered eating issues growing up, and so I didn't want to do it. Or I didn't want to, take the time to really pay attention to how much I slept. And it was one of those things where all of these things, I was just refusing to collect the data that would show what I'm doing well, but also show me what I should correct to be where I want to be. So today at church this morning, during the homily, Father talked about, he said he was reading some different things, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't remember exactly. I wish I had a pen and paper to write it down. But he said, the accuser, when he calls us, he calls out all of our faults, the things we've done wrong, and our mistakes. That's how he calls us. But when Christ calls us, he calls us by name. He doesn't say, hey, Kelly, who emotionally eats, yells at her kids, and struggles to get out of bed in the morning. He doesn't identify me by my faults. He identifies with me by who I am. Because he was talking about the story of Zacchaeus and how he didn't identify in the reading today at church about Zacchaeus as this nasty tax collector. He identified him as someone who was loved. So is that better? Is it fixed? Is it better? Okay. So what I want to tell you tonight is, whether you've been in these groups for a year, 6 months, or this is your day one, you are already enough and you're loved. And don't be afraid of the mistakes you're going to make in the next 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. I want to help you shift towards the point where you're not afraid of failure anymore. You see it as part of the equation. When you go to work out, if you ever do a weightlifting program and it's day 90 and you're still using 2-pound weights because you're afraid that the 5 pounds are going to be hard, you're not going to get the same result because you're staying comfortable. And, I remember like the first time I did a workout and the trainer like wanted you to basically do push-ups to the point of failure. I had a really hard time with that. I wanted to just stay on my knees because I could do all of them on my knees. I didn't want to get on my toes and be faced with the fact that I could maybe do 2 and only go halfway down because I had this intense fear of breaking my nose, like falling on my face. I still kind of have that. But I knew that I would never be able to do 10 push-ups on my toes if I wasn't willing to do the 2 sloppy until they got to the point where I was strong enough to do 4 and then strong enough to do 5. I've had seasons where I was pounding through, did a program, lift 4. I loved it. I was like doing 25, 30-pound weights, never done that in my life. Got super sick, was not allowed to work out for months. And when I finally went to go work out, 5 pounds was so hard for me. And it would have been really easy for me to look at that as this hopeless, you look at what you used to do and now where you are, instead of, no, this is where I am and this is what I'm doing. And so if you struggle because maybe you're in this group and in the past you were like rocking it with a program and now you're in a season where you're like floundering to get your workouts done, maybe some of the things I'm sharing tonight can help you to break free from the perfectionism that sees everything you're doing right now as a failure. Because I think perfectionism and all or nothing is killing our culture. And when Father talked about this at church today, it really pierced in my heart because I had a really rough week. This is why I'm breaking out in my face. We were joking about before. I had a really rough week. I felt like every time I stood up this week, I got knocked down. And by the end of the week, I was listening to the lies and accusations. And I was kind of floundering through my week. And so I come to you tonight talking to you because it's something that I'm having to regroup, or what are the things that help me that I think can help you? Because I even noticed in the groups, people start to kind of slip away and slide off. And then when I'm talking in my messages with some of my clients, they're struggling right now because of busyness of the season. And it's a season that, like I said, a lot of people can struggle. You don't have to struggle in a way that it crushes you. You can go through the season and still have things that are hard and have the tools to handle it. So what I want to talk to you tonight is, we can't be afraid of being successful, and also at the same time knowing that if we want to be successful, that sometimes we have to fall short. If you're afraid of falling short, you're going to stay stuck. And you are not your faults. You are not your mistakes. They are actually opportunities for you to become stronger. So we need to collect evidence of the good and get comfortable with the art of failing well. There's a really great personal development book, one of the first ones I ever listened to, called Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell. I loved it because he told story after story after story of these people that we admire and all of their failures that happened before they hit what we know them for. And it really helped me to start on this journey of seeing failure as okay. Failing well means to bounce back when something happens rather than splatter and then spiral. I would say I'm at a place now where I'll splat and then bounce. At least I don't splat and spiral. But I want to get to the point of this really cheesy 1980s cartoon Gummy Bears, where they would drink this magic juice and literally bounce like crazy. You should just Google it. It's really fun. It was my favorite Saturday morning cartoon. I could sing the song in my head. But it takes time. You've got to splatter before you can bounce, because you've got to be willing to, to fall. My stepdad sent me this it was like a whiteboard that someone had written on. And it was it's hilarious how we will watch our child take their first steps and stumble and cheer them on the entire time, no matter how many times they fall down. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. Yet we have one bad day where we eat a half a pan of brownies and we shame ourselves so bad that we don't check in our challenge group for 2 weeks. We stop working out. Where's Shakeology? I don't even know. I haven't opened the bag yet. And we can't function because we're spiraling. And so we have to have this mindset shift of grace, not perfection, and not just put it on a t-shirt, but actually live it. So here are I'm going to give you 3 things to help you with this. Number 1, track your stuff. Track your stuff. What do I mean by stuff? your food. If you're a 2B mindsetter or an ultimate portion fixer, get a food journal if you're a pen and paper person, or use a nutrition app if you are a nutrition app, like if you rather do digital. If you don't follow those 2 nutrition programs because you're good with like kind of what you're doing, grab a piece of paper, like a journal, and write it in there, or do it on the notes in your phone. Track your food. Own what you're eating. If you don't write down that you ate the bucket of Halloween candy, you still ate the Halloween candy. It's still going to show up on the scale. You know, the whole thing where they're like, whatever you eat with your fingers, it doesn't have calories. You ever hear that statement? It's like, finger foods don't have calories. And I was like, or if you know what I'm trying to say, like, well, that's not true. So the problem is you're attaching shame without being perfect in your food. And the truth is, brownies aren't bad. Halloween candy's not bad, maybe not a whole bucket. But if it happens, and you move on. Like a glass of wine is not bad. We have to remove shame. And so when you start to write down the food, then you own your choices. You decide, is that worth writing in my journal? Is that worth recording? And then also when you get stuck in your journey and maybe 2 weeks in, you're like, I am not losing weight. I feel like I'm doing really well. You can look and see from what you're writing. Are you eating late at night? Are you having too many carbs at night? Are you not eating enough? You know, you can pay attention and you can see, but if you don't have any data, there's no way to know how to get better or how to tweak. So tracking your food really brings food freedom. The second thing is when you're tracking your stuff, how are you feeling? I love in the 2B Mindset Journal, I just ordered a new one. The top of it asks how you were feeling kind of when you woke up in the morning. And I remember when I was doing 2B Mindset for the first time, that entire month, every morning I wrote the word overwhelmed. And it clicked about the 3rd weekend where I was like, I keep writing overwhelmed. Something's got to shift. And so I was able to tweak my morning routine because I was overwhelmed. So you need to write how you're feeling. How are you feeling after you eat? Like, did the food you ate make your stomach hurt? Write it down. Did you notice that, you were really hungry every afternoon at this time when things are stressful and all the kids are coming in? When you write down how you're feeling, it helps you to be more proactive so that you're feeding yourself well. Do you need sleep? Do you need better, an afternoon snack that's going to help you? But if you don't write down how you're feeling, it's kind of blind. And we're emotional people. You're going to have stressful days. You write down you had 3 really stressful days and didn't sleep and the scale went up. It's not because your food is off. And you can kind of give yourself grace. So writing down your feelings. Are you overwhelmed? Are you tired? Are you stressed? It's just important. With your workouts, writing down how you felt. I was exhausted when I worked out today. I only got halfway through because I had to take a break. I was really I write down, if my energy level goes up or down after I work out, because I'm trying to pay attention to making sure I'm not draining myself. But it was really easy. So next time you can up your weights, but pay attention to how you're feeling with your workouts. And then make sure you write down your supplements, like the things you're taking. If you're doing Energize or Recover, write down the days you do it, because then it can help you see. If you're drinking Shakeology every day and then you miss it for a few days, pay attention to how the wins of how it's affecting you in a good way. So you can give yourself credit for the days you're doing things really well, but you want to track things, track it all so that you're taking really good data about your journey. And then it's not a shameful thing anymore. You're owning it. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just important. And I honestly think for added accountability in our group, I'm going to ask people to start posting a photo of their food log under their evaluation for the day, because number 1, we can celebrate you. Number 2, it gives us ideas of food to eat when we read what other people are doing. And 3, you're 10 times harder on yourself than anyone in the group would ever be on you. So you could think your day is awful and post it, and everyone can tell you that it's not. And we're also not going to blow sunshine. I mean, you could be like, well, you had 5 Reese's cups. That might be why your stomach hurts, but that's okay. Drink some water, move on, So track your stuff. Number 2, gratitude in all things. This month's focus for gratitude, I just purchased a gratitude journal. It's a 52-week one, which is kind of nice. It'll last the whole year. And this one has every day where you write 3 things you're grateful for, which is a great start for you to do. You don't have to buy a journal. You can use any notebook you have. But when you go to write down things that you're grateful for every day, be specific, not a general, like, I'm grateful I have a house. I'm grateful that, I woke up this morning. I mean, it is good that you're grateful that you're alive. But I want you to look for ways that you can be grateful for how you're navigating your journey specifically. I'm grateful that my husband made me a really healthy breakfast this morning. I'm grateful that when I wanted to eat the Halloween candy, instead, I got a cup of tea and I spent some time talking with my daughter. Like, notice the things you're doing and write them down. It shifts your purpose. If you are having a rough day and you say, I'm grateful that on a really hard day today, I still showed up and did my workout. I'm grateful that I am recognizing that when I'm really stressed, I want to eat chocolate all the time. So now I can come up with a different plan. You know what else you can be grateful for is the person that you were that got you to join this group because you felt lost. I'm thankful for the mom I was 6 years ago that felt so paralyzed by anxiety, I had the courage to finally ask for help. When you are thankful for your faults because of how they're propelling you towards where you want to be, it breaks you free from shame. And it breaks you from thinking that that's who you are. It's like giving thanks in all things. Yes, it's good to be, y'all, there are mornings I am so thankful for a hot cup of coffee and a pretty mug as I sit in my chair and I look out my window. I have deep gratitude and my house is still quiet. But take time when you're writing what you're grateful for to really, it's almost like if you could only write 30 things, make them count and make sure they're pertaining also to how you're growing. And in our groups too, some of us are there's some ways for you to incorporate it in your family. But gratitude, what it does is it breaks free from shame. Like, you can't have gratitude and shame in the same space. And you can't have, because it just goes away, and it's not comfortable sometimes to be thankful. So if you were ever ashamed, maybe, like I was talking about, who you were before, oh my gosh, that was me. I used to be so ashamed of the emotional eating I did all the time. And now I make jokes about the pans of brownies I used to down at night because that mom who was so broken is now here because I had the courage to say no more, and I'm still learning. And so gratitude in all things is number 2. You can write that in your food journal. You can write it in a gratitude journal. It doesn't matter. But it's good to write it down and to really be intentional about it, because it's going to feel dumb sometimes when things are really hard to say thanks. You know what I mean? When your trainer on the workout is like, come on, you got it in you, and you want to give them the middle finger because you're done. You can be like, I'm so thankful that I've got a community that I'm going to check in later today to tell them that I finished this flipping workout even though I didn't want to. You can be thankful in the moments that you were mad, and it's not like a cheesy cartoon character that never has problems. I can't think of anyone right now off the top of my head, but what I'm trying to say. It's not fake. But I want to challenge you to be stretched there. Be thankful for who you are, your affirmations, your progress, and your success all really flows through gratitude. When we're cranky and ornery and noticing everything that stinks and all the things we're doing wrong, and we're seeing all the ways that we're falling short, we're literally sucking the energy out of our journey. And it'll happen. But when it does happen, when you cultivate gratitude as a habit, it's easier to do, like I said at the beginning, and bounce rather than splatter and spiral. So the third thing is to share no matter what. To show up in this community no matter what. To love your mess. to help one another along and to be here. I want to challenge everyone here, whether you're a coach or a challenger, to commit to checking into the challenge group at least 5 days a week. We cannot be perfect, and that's good. But 5 days a week to show up, to read whatever post is there, to share your day, and to add value to others. If you need an extra accountability, find a buddy in your group to check in behind the scenes. That's always a good incentive. Like there's some of us, even as coaches, where we check in with each other and we offer extra accountability to each other in our journey. Don't be ashamed of your progress. I find women struggle with sharing transformation photos, progress, weight loss, and anything positive because it's like you feel bad that you're doing well in case it makes someone who's stuck feel bad. That's not true. When you're doing really well, it shows the person who's stuck that they don't have to stay stuck because someone got unstuck. But if no one shares, then we're just in this like happy little group where no one wants to be uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for us, even as coaches. When we share transformation photos, I want to go puke in a bag. Like I'm always like, oh, because you don't. But if I never shared a photo, and you don't have to share on like Facebook, public Facebook, but even in our challenge group, it shows what you're doing works. So that the person who says this won't work for me can see, oh, wait, it works for her. It's got to work. It's got to work for me. And they can even ask you, what are you doing? And you can be a source of inspiration for them. Help one another along. Be committed to that. You joined this to be different. You're not going to a gym to just go do some kickboxing class and leave with your gym bag and not have to talk to anybody because that wasn't working for somebody. Going running every day wasn't working for somebody. Being alone in your journey wasn't working. So don't lean out, lean in to the community and be committed to that. And don't be afraid of being judged. It's a judge-free zone. You know, I talked about Halloween in our group. I started off and just slid into a whole bunch of scones and Oreos and all sorts of stuff, which, you know, just kept coming. My mouth was open and it was flying in. And I knew the only way I would stop doing it is I went and posted in the group. And then I didn't do it anymore because I was like, I just let people in my mess. I'm done. You know what I mean? But if you hide, it's the shame. And I'm sure I was not the only one who had that happen on Halloween. It's all good. The last thing I want to tell you, those were the three things, is the number one, tracking your stuff. Number two, the gratitude. And number three, sharing no matter what. But I want you to think about these things as we leave the call tonight. This month and even the next 2 months, how do you want to feel? Don't just focus on, I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to finish Morning Meltdown 100. I want to, lose 10 inches. I want to fit into my pre-pregnancy jeans. Those are great goals. I want you to have those. But how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel on Thanksgiving Day? Or whatever holiday maybe is hard for you? How do you want to feel? Who do you want to show up as in your life every day? Like, what goal do you want to be? Do you want to be more peaceful, more present, more joyful, more relaxed? How do you want to show up in your life every day? Because I think if you attach your goals to that and then you track, you're tracking to be the more peaceful mom, not because I got to lose these 5 pounds so I can fit in the dress for Thanksgiving. It's, I want to walk into my Thanksgiving dinner feeling so peaceful because I've been taking care of myself and I'm not burned out and worried about impressing everyone with my turkey. And on top of that, I feel really good in this dress. It's like the weight loss is almost like the added bonus of the transformation you can have on the inside. So take some time to really think, how do you want to feel, and how do you want, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in your life? Because I think that will help you when you're tracking stuff to say, well, does a really peaceful mom emotionally binge on ice cream every night and binge on Netflix? No. Okay, so I need to tweak this. Not, okay, so I stink. It's like, what can I tweak to help me be more peaceful? What gives me more joy? Having coffee with a friend. I'm going to make time for that this week. Or having a date night. Or whatever. You decide what that is. So, I think y'all are still talking about candy. Do you guys have any questions for me? Otherwise, I'm good. If anybody has anything you want to add.
The only thing I would add, because I've been working on it a lot, is with the gratitude piece, is forcing yourself to find something to be grateful for in those difficult pieces. And I've talked about this before, like if I have a huge fight with my husband, I'm grateful that my marriage is based on vows and not feelings, like, and it's not just lip service. I mean, that one might be a little passive aggressive in my head, but it still does remind me that there is something deeper to this relationship than just how I feel about him when he's a big jerk face, right? He's not home right now, so I can say that. But the other thing, though, I was reminded of recently was to not spend so much time being grateful for the negative that I forget to be aware and negative of the positives as well. So I was looking back at my gratitude journal, and it was all legitimate gratitude that helped me put negative things in perspective, but it was all this gratitude. It was like I was looking for all the negative things to be grateful for, and they were great. It was good. That is good, and I'm not going to stop doing that, but I got called out a little bit to make sure that I was still actually writing down my warm cup of coffee and actually writing down, I think 4-year-olds are about the greatest people on the planet, and my 4-year-old happens to be one of the greatest 4-year-olds on the planet. And so, like, really being grateful for the pure joy that she has in life and all that kind of stuff. And that was really a moment of like, I thought I was rocking this gratitude thing, and I was, but I was still focused on the negative, even in my gratitude, and forgetting to include the simple little things of snuggling with my puppies and whatnot at the same time.
Yes, definitely. And I think like, it's almost like if you were going to do 3 gratitudes, kind of make it where like you do like 2 wins and like 2 positives and 1 struggle that you can, you know what I mean? Like if you're my type who's always like, I need to have a rule, but you also don't have to stop at 3. They eventually turn 4. Yes. No, that's really good. Thank you. And I think that the other thing that's neat about it, which is why I was excited to buy this journal, because it's 52 weeks, is having it all in one place. Like I kind of write mine.
Hold that up again. I missed it. I blinked when that's when you got. Okay, I saw that one. I haven't ordered mine yet, so I'm glad you got yours. And I kind of want to get the one that's a little potty mouth.
I know. I almost got it too.
But I feel like I feel like that one is not the direction I want to be facing. It would just feel good in the moment, but it's not really the ultimate direction I want to go when I think about who I want to be at the end of the year. So I'm going to pass.
And then you have to hide it from your kids so that you hope your kids don't.
I know.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
I know. Courtney and I were talking about potty mouth the other day because it's something that, anyway. The other thing I like about this one is at the end of every, I think, 30 days, it has a journaling prompt. So one of them was like, write about one person you're truly grateful for knowing. And then there was one that said, write about one experience you're grateful for that shaped who you are today. And it's not like doing this every day. It's like once, I think it's like every 30 days or so. But in this one's only like $6 on Amazon. Write about one place you're thankful that you had the opportunity to visit and why. So, but yeah, I agree. Exactly what Sarah says. Like we have to be careful that we don't get caught up in only looking for the bad, so that we can, I mean, it's good to do that, but the little simple things, how many times do we miss appreciating the leaves changing in the fall because we're so busy with everything else? And then all of a sudden we look up one day and every tree is red or green, red or yellow or orange. And we're like, how did I miss this happening? Like I have a maple in my front yard and I feel like I looked out the window and I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, not in Louisiana. We don't have fall. But for sure. Well, thank you guys for leaning in tonight. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say before I'll close us off in prayer? Okay. And for those of you listening to recording, thanks for taking the time. I'm really excited. I feel like this is like my favorite challenge every year is the November one that heads into the holiday season, because I need it. Like I need it. Like I was talking to my therapist yesterday morning. I go to therapy every morning, Saturday morning. And she said, like, this is the season where people struggle. And I'm like, I'm so glad that we're choosing something different together. You know what I mean? So thank you for choosing that. All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together tonight. Lord, I pray for those that are listening to this recording and for those that are here, that you would help us to hear you call our name and not hear all of the accusing lies that can often spin in our heads. Help us, God, to not see ourselves as the sum of our mistakes, but to see ourselves as just created in love by you. Help us to treat our bodies and our journey with gratitude. And help us, Lord, to have the courage to own our choices and the courage to share them in the group and to lean in and to be present and to be encouraging to one another. I pray specifically for an abundance, Lord, of gratitude in our personal journeys, in our challenge groups this month. I pray for those that will be joining our group in the upcoming weeks, that you would stir in their hearts the desire for something different. I pray that the community would grow stronger in our groups and that you would help us to lean in and support one another so that we can really love and serve those around us that we love with a grateful heart, with a joyful heart, with the peace that we long to have. Lord, for anyone who's struggling, I lift them up. For people that are going through hard times and transition, Lord, we lift them up. We ask that you would just give them grace for the journey and help us to be a support in any way. And we're just so grateful, Lord, that we get to be here, that we get to be on this journey, that we get to support one another, that we get to be a part of this amazing community. And we just ask that you would bless our efforts, Lord, and will be with us this week and in the weeks to come. We pray all these things in your most holy name. Amen. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.